Greetings. So last week, a friend of mine who has actually been a benefactor of mine, so I appreciate it, contacted me about possibly creating a website for him. This is something I used to do back in the late 2000s, basically 2007 through 2010. I used to build websites. I learned how to code, and certain people asked me to do it for them. I did it. I knew SEO, so I set it up. I didn't do pretty, but I could build a website. I could make it functional. If someone wanted a blog, I could set up the WordPress software for them so they could have a blog, just like I've done with some of my websites. And we were good to go. Then things started to change at one point, and a lot more people didn't want to pay for, well, you to build them a website. If you were a big company, yeah, you were willing to shell out anywhere from 10 to 25,000. I didn't charge that much, by the way. But if you were that big, yes, you would pay that kind of money. But regular people who basically had maybe a small business, or they were an independent sole consultant like I was, didn't want to pay that kind of money. So what they started doing is they found templates. There were a whole lot of them that started coming out at the time. You could buy a template for like $50, $100 or whatever, and you could just basically start. You know, they gave you instructions. Maybe you hired someone to actually flesh out the pages for you, but you bought a template. You knew what you had, you were done. So from my perspective, the days of coding and building websites was over. Anyway, he contacted me because I was talking about websites on one of my articles and, different things you want to have on a website. And he asked me if I would do a website for him. So he sent me an email and he specified all these different things that he wanted on his website. And he also mentioned that then he wants to be able to learn how to take over the website and be able to change things around and do whatever. So I thought about this and I said, the best way to do this really is by using WordPress software or some kind of software like that. Don't have someone like me create a website if you want to then take it over, because now I have to try to teach you coding, because I'm going to code everything from scratch. This is just what I do. And so I said to him, you know what? This is based on what you said you want. This is what you want to do. And I'm not the guy to do it. I know some people who do that kind of thing. If that's what you want to do, I can, get some of those people, or maybe you know someone, but I'm really not the guy to do that for you. And here's the lesson out of that. We can't always take on everything thinking we can do everything if we really can't. My expertise was in coding, but I didn't do pretty, but I could code. But everything he wanted, this was something I wasn't used to. I've only created one WordPress website in my life, and I lost money on it because I gave a guaranteed price, and it took me more than twice as long as I thought it would to fix it. It was nasty. I mean, it ended up looking good, but it took me forever because I was trying to force code into certain areas that it just didn't want to give me. You people who build WordPress websites, wonderful. Love you for it, but I ain't the guy to do it. There are some things I'm pretty good at and some things I'm pretty proficient at. For instance, I'm good at writing, as long as it's not a topic that I could care less about. For instance, if you give me a topic on today's pop musicians, I'm going to fail. It's just not going to happen. I don't care. But there are a lot of topics that I can sit down and do research, and I can write you a wonderful 2,000-3,000 word article if that's what you want, if you're willing to pay for that. I may find you some images that you can use. But if you want some of that epic Neil Patel stuff where you have all these beautiful charts and all this other kind of stuff, I ain't the guy. Just not it. I don't see things in that way. I will give you statistics. I used to know how to make graphs on Excel, but that was more than 20 years ago. If that's what you're looking for, I'm not your guy. But if you want an article that's going to give you detail and information and all this other kind of stuff, that's what I can do. If you happen to be working at a hospital in finance, I'm your guy. Period. I know that stuff well. I'm not a coder, but I know certain things well. There's just a few things that I actually know that I'm good at, that if you contacted me and wanted me to work for you, I'm the guy. I can get it done. But there are nuances to a lot of this stuff. So there's certain things that I personally am never going to say I can do it when I know for sure that I can't. Or if I think I can't do it, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to take it on. I'm not going to waste anyone's time. I certainly don't want to waste my time. How do you take money from someone in good conscience if you are going to mess it up? I just don't know how people do it. I know some people who do it, but I'm not that type. So the question I ask, have you tried to take on things that you're not really qualified for, and then you found that you couldn't do it? How did that feel? Or have you basically said, you know what, this just isn't for me? As a side story, I had a guy years ago who told me anytime anyone asks you for something, you always said yes, even if you couldn't do it, then you go find someone else to do it. I'm sorry. To me, that's unethical. I don't know how other people feel about it, but I think that's unethical. Just to give you a little more nuance into what I'm saying today. Let me know your thoughts. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope y'all have a wonderful week.